Okay, so now panelists feel like in the police station, like being interrogated. I mean, super powerful light. So I will briefly hand over. So this is a session on minimizing harm for moderators. So we are the core of the trust and safety profession or professionals. I will hand over to our moderator, Denton Howard, Executive Director for InHope, global network of hotlines against child sexual abuse material online. So Denton, thank you for moderating this, and I'm handing over to you.
Thank you very much, JC. And thank you for the introduction. For the people who don't know me, but I don't know anybody in this room, my name is Denton Howard, and I'm the Executive Director of InHope. I have to be nice because JC is actually my boss because he's the president of InHope, so we have to be kind to him. But in terms of why are we here? Well, just first of all, my role as Executive Director of InHope. InHope is the International Association of Internet Hotlines. We're dealing with reports of child abuse, child sexual abuse material online. We have a wide network of 54 members, and Jan, who you'll be hearing from in a little while, works for one of those members, Point of Contact in France. So I won't bore you with the details of that and the implications of what we're going to talk about today. So I'm also conscious that as moderator, I shouldn't be doing most of the talking. My job is to conduct and to try and get as much information from these people out of their heads and get it into your heads. So a couple of things about why we're actually here today. So the first reason basically is that the title of this session is minimizing harm for moderators. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because trust and safety teams around the world, and just as a quick poll, anybody here involved in handling abuse teams? Hands up. Okay, trust and safety teams? Okay, good, you know nothing, so we'll assume that. So, trust and safety teams who are really important people, and you're going to hear more about it in a little while, but they have to cope with increasing levels of harmful and illegal content. But they have to do that with very limited support in terms of psychological, physical, and technical support systems. So while you'll see many things in terms of headlines and numbers and growth of child abuse material or abuse reports and things like that, the side effect is what is the impact on the people who are dealing with that on a day-to-day basis, the professionals. So this panel is going to discuss the challenges and the measures that we can take to reduce and mitigate any harm that comes to moderators. And we're also going to try and include a discussion on concepts, best practice approaches and technologies. So, you're going to hear different perspectives, and again, you're going to hear all of that directly. So, with that introduction done, I want to introduce each of our speakers today, and I'm going to just do this quickly in order. So, we have Martin Lebar, who is Trust and Safety Global Ops Excellent Director with Concentrix and with WebHelp. So, do you want to say a few words, Martin?
Yes. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. So I'm Martin. You can call me Martin if it's easier. I've been in the industry for the last 9 years, and so I've seen the industry transforming a lot from quite something artisanal to something really industrialized now. And so actually we'll be explaining what we implemented in terms of content moderators protection, and why we've done it over the last 9 years. So happy to be with you today.
Thank you very much. Then I'd like to introduce Jan Lescope from Point of Contact. He's a legal advisor with them. Jan?
Yeah, thank you. So as Denton said, I'm a legal advisor at Point of Contact. Point of Contact is a reporting platform regarding various harmful and illicit content online. We are a proud member and founder of the InHope network, which is aimed to tackle child sexual abuse material online internationally. And so I am one of these content moderator. We can say I've reviewed more than 10,000 images and content last year. So I'm actually well founded to talk about this topic, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you very much, Jan. And finally, we have Nicola Hernandez. from Aleph.
Hello, I'm Nicolas. I'm president and founder of Aleph Networks, which is we create a search engine in the dark web. And in this context, as a search engine, we are faced with as the moderation of pedocriminal content. And I want to expose you our methodology and technology which aims to limit our moderators' exposure to this type of content.
Thank you very much. So just with that, I would like to, considering we did the hands up in the air, of which there weren't that many, so what I'm going to talk about first of all is to briefly outline what is a moderator, okay? So a moderator is when somebody makes an abuse report or something gets flagged through an automated system, it's the person that checks it, takes action on it, and obviously they have to face into it. But in InHope, we try to use it's a very American, so I apologize, but we regard moderators as the first responders. Okay, I don't know if you're familiar with that term. They're the people who put themselves in front of trauma rather than running away from trauma, which is what our natural thing to do is to run away from trouble. I know, I'm a coward, I tell you that straight away. So to use in France we say the pompiers, so they run into the burning building when everybody else is running out of the burning building. So with that said, good moderators, they're very hard and expensive to make, but they're really easy to break. Okay, so we want to try and keep people as well as possible so that they can be as effective and that when they go home in the evening or when they're on their holidays or when they go on to their next career, that they're not damaged by it. So with that, we have a responsibility to protect the protectors. And that's true, the things we're going to say. But a couple of things. People are fragile, okay? CSAM, or child sexual abuse material, is toxic. When you see hate material and things like that, that is disruptive. And then there's a lot of other very troubling stuff like anti-terrorism or terrorist content and stuff like that. So we need to have processes and systems, which we all hear the term safety by design. So we need to have systems and processes that are designed with safety of not just the users, but also the moderators. But then also we have to avoid safety by experience, or sometimes called safety by failure. We'd rather not learn from bad experiences. So we also have to accept that the issues that they're dealing with evolve. The issues of today are not the same as the issues of 5 years ago. So there's a constant evolution. So that's just to set the scene about why the protection of moderators is so important. So on this situation, we want to try and approach this from 3 different perspectives. And Nicholas alluded to this in his introduction. So we wanted to come at this from the people perspective first. And so, Jan, I'm going to hand over to Jan at this point, and he's going to talk from that angle. Jan?
Yeah, so as Denon said, like the main issue here is like how do we protect those who protect us actually, and I actually been eager to know more about what are the systemic issues regarding content moderation, and more and more I see like people trying to get to know this phenomenon better. And actually, like a few months ago, a recent study from the Middlesex University, the Center for Abuse and Trauma Studies, released a study that voluntarily people were completing this study, and actually with slightly 200 moderators that were asked few questions and like self-assessing their well-being and their mood. The research actually found out that actually like half of the content moderators are actually present symptoms of clinical depression, which is like a lot. I think we all know that it's being a content moderator is to face, like, as we said, very atrocious content, whether it be terrorist, whether it be child abuse, but to know that actually there are real humans that are struggling with even the work that they do. The core problem is that the work itself is can produce like harm. And I think that what we have to do regarding that is like we know that the work itself is harmful. Let's say that. So how are the key points and the key points that can be variable and that we can work on to minimize what the harm will be, because there will be harm, but let's do it like the less possible, I would say. So yeah, and basically what the studies also learn is that what is the most setting to having less harm due to content moderators is like working condition, rather than anything you can do in technology regarding like blurring content or like warn people that it's going to be child sexual abuse material. That has like not so much effect on it. So I think that the main part of it is like how we manage people, how we manage teams in trust and safety sector, how you show them that you care about this specific topic and that the harm that they can experience. So yeah, actually my point here is to say that some things can be done just so that the well-being of the content moderator will be enhanced. I don't know. It could be like even taking breaks. I've been reading that. Just so you know that you can take breaks even if you just witnessed a child being raped, like you can take a break right after. And just knowing that you are allowed to, and I think it have to do with working condition, is like something that can release you from a pressure that the job in itself is pushing to you. I don't know if I would hand over to others.
If I could just, because I'm going to take your point and we'll jump on to your point. I think Jan is being a little bit modest because and understating what's when you're dealing with traumatic content, and trauma comes in many ways. I heard an expression once, which is the culture of toughness is the most toxic thing you can have, because this thing, I'm tough, I'm okay. You okay? I'm fine. But in this type of work, it's really important, even on a human level, to say it's okay not to be okay. By admitting, and a problem shared is a problem halved. And there's a little technique with psychologists have used, which is about laying down vicarious trauma with the use of games like Tetris after analyzing content. So there's a couple of nuggets that you can take away, which are simple, don't cost anything, but can help to protect. Now, I'm going to hand over to you now, after my little interruption.
And actually, thank you very much, Danton, for this transition, because it goes exactly what I wanted to say. Actually, yes, it's okay to not to be okay, but it's hard to actually detect if someone says that he's okay and not at all, actually, at the end. And actually, it goes with what Jan was saying as well. Actually, at Construct plus WebHelp, what we are doing is actually supporting digital platforms. So, for instance, GAFA platforms on removing the content that can be actually posted on their platforms to keep this digital spaces safe. So actually, our people are exposed as well to very bad stuff, to very sensitive content, and so on. And actually, from the beginning, we were quite late entrant on the market, and so it was an opportunity at the end, because we could actually get experience from our competitors on things that shouldn't be actually replicated. And so from the beginning, we've been very, I think, virtuous, but let's see, the reality. Virtuous on protecting our people, to protect the people, to protect our brand, and to protect our clients as well. It was a triple trinity, of virtuosity, let's say. And so it's why we, of course, implemented actually initiatives for people, such as great facilities, psychologists, having breaks when they want, things like that. But at the end, you can have 100 content moderators with 100 psychologists. What Jan was saying is the nature of the work is harmful. So you could even have 3 psychologists per content moderators. People will still be shocked on what they could be exposed to. So that's not an issue of number, but more on, you know, how to best build a comprehensive model on protecting the people. And so it's why actually we started to develop a tool to better understand what our people were actually experiencing and how they were feeling with what they were exposed to. So this tool is called People and Ethic. Initially, it was an attrition tool to predict the attrition of our people. And so actually it's basically a mathematical model with plenty of KPIs that are actually feeding this model. And actually we revamped this tool to create People and Ethic that is actually a well-being assessment tool that is able to evaluate our people's well-being. And so just to keep it simple, we have 3 main families of KPIs. The first one are stable KPIs with HR data or socio-demographic data. So when did the employee join the company? What is his or her age? What is or her gender and things like that? Okay. Then we have evolutive KPIs with operational data. Do they work on night shifts? Are they was they late or absent recently? Because actually, when you start being late or absent at work and with unplanned absence, actually maybe it means that you don't want to go to work, and so that can be actually a weak signal to listen to, and so on. And we have a third one that is a survey just asking, how do you feel today? So it's not medical data, how do you feel today, but it can actually provide an idea on how people are feeling. And at the end, what we get is a score that is actually just a way for supervisors or team leaders to get an overview of who is, you know, how everyone is going, let's say. And the idea is not to have an accurate score, but more to be able to track the evolution of the score. If I'm scoring 9 out of 10 for the last 4 months and I'm dropping even at 7.5, it can mean something that, you know, I'm not feeling good and I need support, and actually it should actually trigger a discussion between the team leader and myself as a content moderator to, you know, at least get support or get explanation on how to get support from external or internal functions or people to help. And so this is not this tool. Just to finish on it, because I think it's a great asset. But this tool is not supposed to automate our HR. Let's be clear. We will never get someone being sent home because the well-being score is dropping. The idea of this tool is more to get to provide another asset, another tool to our team leaders to better understand the weak signals that can actually mean a lot in the team, to avoid getting to, you know, this rupture point, this breaking point, where actually people are going in PTSD or feeling very bad, and it will be way harder to support them when they will go beyond this breaking point. So that's the objective.
Okay, I think you can see there that's like setting a metric. In effect, it's almost like an alarm going off with triggers. Okay, which is good in terms of monitoring all of the things you mentioned and all of the tells. I think psychologists call people have tells when they. But if we then take it that so. When we talked about the people side of things, now you're talking about the. I'm going to say the alarms, detection, the triggers. But then we also want to look at it from the perspective of automating out a process. So there's the exposure aspect is made. So from Nicholas, from your perspective, from where you're coming from, would you like to give your input?
Yes. I want to explain to you how we protect, first of all, our customers from CSAM content when using a search engine. And this is the methodology part, which is important for us because we don't see only the content, but we have to see the system of the content and the ecosystem in which is the content to cut it and avoid the massive exposure of mass content. The first level of intervention is human, but very methodological. Indeed, let us identify first of all dark websites responding to typical child crime requests or keywords. Dark websites responding to these typical child requests, once we have identified them, we confirm the presence of pedocriminal content and we immediately exclude the entire site from our base. Thus, our moderators are at least confronted with the content and not to have to declare each piece of the content of the site. This is the first part. We cut all the site. Next, we identify the ecosystem of each of these sites. This will allow us to identify affiliated sites which we treat with the same method. And the sites referencing pedocriminal sites too. This is the ecosystemic point of view. In this case, the site referencing this type of contents are also excluded from our databases. This has the consequences to limit the propagation of content in our database and thus limit the presence of this type of content. This dual approach allows us to limit the work of our moderators and protect our end users from this content. So one question is how we could capitalize on this suffering, on this toxicity. This is the technological answer on it, and that's quite simple. First, the ecosystem approach is based on the graph theory and make it possible to identify communities which manipulate this type and put this type of content. And therefore extend the identification of these sources. The second approach is to use simple and inexpensive artificial intelligence technologies. Machine learning is an example, and graph theory aussi, too. Analyzing site metadata can easily identify incriminating sites too. And that's the first step.
Okay, no, I'm with you on that one, and thank you for that. But what I would love to try and sort of tease out here is all of the different strands. So from an automation perspective, the approaches that we could take that would in effect support moderators being more effective, more productive, and also being not damaged. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to come back to Jan. And I'm going to come from my own experience as well. InHope as an organization, I say this out loud, and Jean-Christophe in the audience will probably hate me for saying this, but we've made every mistake you can make over the years. We've been around since 1999. We've done, and the idea is we like to share the mistakes that we made with our members through best practices and going, this is how you don't do it, this is how you should do it. So we have a very long-standing best practice, of which is what we call our staff welfare. Now the fashionable term is we would say wellness and well-being. And it sets out a set of core principles and practices and procedures to help organizations frame their own processes. Now, I know Point of Contact as a member has taken that on board, but they also have a white paper. So would you want to just elaborate about we can wave the white paper in the air.
Exactly, that's the point that I wanted to go to. But yeah, actually, if we want to minimize, like, if it's a purpose, actually, that's how I will phrase it. To minimize is to have it as an objective goal at first. I think, like, it's not about how many technologies that you will develop in your company that will. As advertised, will protect moderators from harm. Actually, as we said with Martin, it's like a floor effect that happens with harm. I think so, at least as I experienced it. But what we need to do is to have an impact on policies and practice. So yeah, actually, what we need to do is have this goal to minimize whatever it can. It manifests actually. It's how we talk about it, how we want it to have a better staff, welfare staff and well-being. So that's what the work that we've done at One Contact as a hotline from INHOPE is having this white paper actually, which is called Moderation on Content, Illicit Content Online, and that aims to. It's actually separated in two parts. Like, how do you moderate content online in an effective way, like regarding technology, regarding legal consideration, and the other part is about how do you develop a culture of care regarding your employees and how you need to. First and foremost, I would say, is like having a psychological follow-up for everybody, and yeah, it's but it also covers a lot of others sectors, just as like employment contracts, remote work, working condition, like like how do you protect even in a building the people that are specifically working on sensitive content or harmful content. So yeah, actually my point about minimizing harm is like having these policies and best practice to be shared and to be talked about, because if we don't make it a subject, then we left all these content moderators on their own, and it's precisely what we are doing here, I think so.
Well, I'm going to come to Martin just in 1 second. So to come back to one of the first things I said, people, they're easily broken. They have to be protected. And the policy and process and procedure, which is really important, which Jan is referring to. But we also need to move into how the technology side of things can be used to support that. So if we move into sort of we're moving away from the people and process, from your perspective, Martin, where would you be coming from on this?
Actually, it's what I'm saying all the time. We are doing content moderation with a sustainable approach. It's super easy to recruit someone, to expose him or her to super sensitive topic for 3 months and to throw them away when they will be broken because they will get no protection and so on. So actually, what are the benefits we get from techno? Actually, it's hard because, what we were seeing is that what we are doing, the three of us, actually, it's super connected. What I mean is that it's hard to dissociate what we are doing with people analytics from what we are doing with psychologists on site, or what we are doing with blurring images on the platform to avoid exposing people to bad stuff when it's possible. But the reality is that today at Construct plus Web Help, we have 84% of our content moderators recommending their company as an employer. Actually, it's even higher than the core business that is not sensitive at all. So actually, I'm pretty proud of this because it means that people are happy to work for us. And actually, they know why they are doing it. Actually, they are pretty proud to protect their community, because everyone is working for their local market. So that's great. I think it's a great achievement. But actually, if I come to the people analytic topic, because that was the objective, actually we have one thing is that we have 50% less churn with our agents that got a discussion, an intervention after a detection on the people analytic tool. So we know that it's useful. We know that it works, and actually most of this discussion would never have happened without people analytic, because actually our team leaders were too busy to detect this weak signal out of the 10 or 15 people they need to manage on a daily basis. So that's a great achievement for us, because as you were saying, it takes time and money to train good content moderators. It's super easy to break them. So yeah, that's the benefit.
So to take that a little bit further, so we've gone from the person, we've gone into the detection. But Nicholas, from the perspective of, let's talk bigger scale and technology, and I always try and use the analogy of the car industry, okay? When seatbelts were talked about first, you know, or we talk about airbags, or we talk about all the things we take for granted. One the market drove it, but also there was regulation driving it and crash. You know, we all talk about NCAP. Is it when we're buying new cars, you know, it says how safe the car is, it won't crash. How do we get the technology on a sort of global level or bigger scale in terms of how we can help moderation in that way? Maybe not global, but, you know, on a bigger scale.
I think if we want to protect the moderators, this is a toxic job in these cases. We have to have help to stop as possible the production and the diffusion of this content. For that, for example, in the dark web, we have already identified 35,000 child abuse sites in the dark web, and more than 200 new sites per week. We need help from the states to be able to develop our technologies and be able to fight against this scourge. And for that, I think that the different states have to impose, I don't know how to say that, impose to big actors of the internet the use of this type of technologies. We need help from the states for developing these technologies, and for have legal stuff to force all the big actors of the internet to use this type of technologies.
Okay, that leaves it quite open, because and then it sort of puts the responsibility onto governments and things like that. And we all know that governments tend to only respond when there's either an absolute crisis or an election. Okay, yes. So sadly, it's going to be a response rather than something in ahead of time. But if and I'm going to just put you all three on the spot because I'm conscious of time, is that I'm going to do a trick I heard on a presentation a few weeks ago. So I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds or quicker. Okay, one thing that you think could be done and why that would make an impact in your own area. So I'm going to pick on Martin first.
Oh, nice.
Because you looked at me. Okay.
No, but actually, sorry, I will not exactly answer what you wanted to. I mean, your question. It's more like what shouldn't be done. I mean, it's you know, we've been involving a lot our content moderators in what we done, because actually at the end it's to support them. So you know, it shouldn't be top. Yeah. top down, sorry, thank you. And so sometimes we need to find limitation on, protecting the content moderators. So for instance, having a headset or having, a smartwatch analyzing, the heart pulsation, heart pulse, or the brain activity and so on, yeah, you are going too far. And so actually our content moderators told us like, okay, we know that you want to protect us and so on, but you are super intrusive. If you will be super intrusive if you are implementing such hardwares and so on. So something very important is to recognize or to know where is the yellow line and to not cross this yellow line, even if you think that you are doing it for the good. Sometimes you need to stop yourself.
So I'm going to jump on to Nicholas.
Yes, I think there is something very important for me. I think the governments have to help associations like Point Contact because they know how to categorize, and this is an input for the technology. After, this is the partnership between this type of association and industrial and technologies from companies like us to develop the right technology to limit and to help moderators in their work. And that will be really nice if we have that. This partnership between this type of association with lots of competencies, legal competence and human competence too, and technologies, companies to industrialize their job and limit the exposure.
Okay. And Jan, from the people perspective, no pressure.
Yeah, exactly. As I was intending to start, like as a content moderator, I would say this really easy thing, and I think it's growing all around all jobs. All the jobs actually, like it's having team building also, like if you are in charge and you want to manage a trust and safety team, do team building, because supportive colleagues is actually the study that I quoted at the beginning say that too, is like if you have supportive colleagues, then the job is like really less like draining. It's you know that you can reach out to the one sitting next to you just to say like, oh, I saw this and I'm kind of unwell by what I heard, what I saw. So yeah, actually having like a really good team and people that are doing well together is like the first things in order to keep a moderator in this position, I think so.
Denton, if I can add, actually something, because I think we talked for our industry and so on, and with our experience, but at the end, something that should be done is education. I mean, we are exposing our people to very bad stuff because actually someone somewhere on Earth published this very bad stuff. So actually, we should actually make sure that people get more educated on what the impact on of what they are publishing. Maybe actually having community work sometime with content moderators could be an option, or actually, just as criminals on road being exposed to what the consequences of driving too fast or being drunk and so on. I think it should be good to expose this bad actors to the reality of what it means for content moderators to deal with bad content.
Cool. Well, not cool, but yeah, just so just to wrap up the session. I suppose I'd like to come full circle. We've talked about technology, processes, procedures, and people. But ultimately, this is about people, because harmful content tends to involve images, content, and impressions of a victim. but on the other end is somebody watching the screen dealing with that content. So it's really important that when we talk about these things, we factor in the culture. We're in Western Europe. People talk about this. People talk about, you know, not feeling great. Culturally, that's different in different parts of the world. What's acceptable in one part of the world is not necessarily acceptable in others. But the big thing is that this is discussed and discussed openly. If somebody is not in good position, that it's discussed openly. A lot of times that resolves any of the outstanding issues. If you're dealing in a corporate sense, you should be selling the benefits of that. In other words, this is not necessarily cost, this is an investment, because if we put a little bit of time and money into the people, means, and you mentioned about the churn, people are replacing people is an expensive business. You don't want to hurt anybody in the process. But it's, so ultimately what I'm saying here, it comes down to the culture of just the organization, the country, the region. And if you have a positive approach and a cultural approach to being taking care of people, then that will naturally percolate into the taking care of the moderation. So with that said, I'm going to be on time and I'm going to finish today's session. I would like to thank my panel, Jan, Nicholas, Martin, and I'd like to thank you all for taking part. And so we'll wrap it up. Thank you.